it goes, and it
is good.
Oh! Just executing, man.
Oh, what a finish there by Pfizer.
Oh, nice lob. There you go. Nice lob.
It's selection showtime, and it's not great.
He said we're good. We're good.
It's selection showtime, and it is time to announce the brackets, the seeding, the matchups. We're going to take a look at all of them and see if teams have played already this year or haven't played together and give you the insights of it. Mikey, do us the honors of announcing the first matchup on the men's side.
First off, I'm Michael. This is Anderson. This is Clarence. All right. Welcome in.
Our government names.
Government names. All right. Tournament time is here, baby. We've been waiting on this all year. All right, so we just going to jump right in. We're going to jump right into it. All right, so for the 16 seed, we have a play-in game for that one. All right, and that'll be Pace Academy out of McKinney, Texas, and Chicago Prep. All right, so that'll be a good little matchup to see who will play Prolific.
Yeah, and this will be the first tournament appearance for both these teams. And they faced each other yet this year?
No,
so they hadn't faced
yet.
each other this year. So that'd be an interesting matchup. I actually think Pace Academy is playing really well. I know the wins don't reflect that, but they're a fun team to watch. Shot Prep, we know they're going to play hard, so that's going to be an interesting matchup in the backcourt. But whoever wins that game is going to earn the right to play the number one seed, which is?
Prolific Prep.
All right, Prolific.
I don't think we had a doubt.
No, this is their 10th year on the grind session as we're celebrating 10 years on the grind session. Now, here's the challenge for Prolific. No one in the league history has ever won back-to-back championships here on the grind session. So they're going to try to be the first to do it. They won a championship in 2020 with a team that featured Jalen Green. They won last year in 2023 with the outstanding freshman and Tyron Stokes, who's going to be trying to help them lead to another championship this year. So the road they're taking has never been done before, and that's trying to be back-to-back champions here on the grind session.
And Bernardi's won, I think, 3 straight championships, 2 at the Burlington.
Yeah.
And 1 at Prolific last year. So he's got a chance to go 4 championships in a row.
Woo.
And we said in the broadcast last night, this is my first year on the grind, so if they win back-to-back, I get a bonus or something from Prolific Prep, right? Huh?
No.
That's got to be in the works.
Don't put that out in the world because
Okay.
people will take you literally.
No,
Yeah.
just kidding.
All right, so
So we got the 116 matchup. Our next one, let's move on to the 8 and 9 seed. Mikey, give us that.
all right, so at the 9 seed, we got Accelerated Prep, coached by Mike Haynes. And then at the 8 seed, you got Fort Erie International, coached by Charles Hantumakos.
Now let's talk about this matchup. Accelerated Prep, this is their second year on the grind session. This is a team that plays really, really hard. You got to beat them. You just can't show up and win a game. Fort Erie is a team that's dealt with some injuries, CJ. They had a lot of guys down the last time we saw them. I think just 7 players in uniform.
Right.
So they took some time off. They look to come back healthy and playing well, but this should be an interesting 8-9 matchup.
Yeah, and these two teams played each other in Philadelphia, and Fort Erie had, a lot of the kids off of the red team, and they beat Accelerated Prep 59-57 that weekend in Philadelphia. So evenly matched squads, both have to get healthy. Hunter Carter has to come back for Accelerated Prep to be better, and 8-9 is a good matchup here.
And neither one of these teams have made it past the first round in the history of the ground session tournament. So at least we'll know that one of them will make history for their school.
Yeah, speaking of making it, let's go on to the 4 and the number 13 seed matchup here next in our bracket, around the 16.
So at number 13, we got a first-year team on the ground session, making their first tournament appearance, obviously. Royal Crown School out of Canada, coached by Mike DeGiorgio. And they will be matched up with the number 4 seed, based out of Arizona, Scottsdale, Arizona. Bella Vista Prep, coached by Tony Miller.
And let's talk about Bella Vista. Kind of feel like, even this weekend, I had said to Tony, I feel like they were just kind of missing that energy, that little bit of oomph. I know they're going to go into this break trying to find that and kind of look at some of the details. But this is a program that's had success in the past. This is their 7th year on the grind session. We know Tony Miller is a guy who likes to run a lot of sets and be organized. So what do you think about their run and how it sets up for them here in the
They
tournament?
played better during the beginning of the season than they've played lately. And I think Tony Miller, they know that. We've talked to both of the coaches, Mike Smith and Tony Miller, about that, and they're going to try to right that ship. Royal Crown, they can score points. We've seen them in action. They like to press. They like to push it. They shoot the threes. They can score a lot of points. And so Bella Vista is going to have to come out ready to play in this one.
And Mikey, we've only seen it twice, but we've seen it before where a 13 seed has beat a number 4 seed.
Yeah, you had 2019, AZ Compass, who coming in, you know, they had to prove themselves, so which was why they were the 13 seed, but they were a very good 13 seed, that team. They beat Tennessee Prep that year, and then in 2022, Balboa knocked off Colorado Prep. So, you know, it can happen. And with a school like Royal Crown, who, like we said, put up a lot of points, you never know.
Yeah. All right. So this is one of the most intriguing seeds, I think, in the entire tournament. Let's talk about the number 5 and the number 12 matchup in the round of 16.
All right, so at number 12, you got Orangeville Prep out of Canada, coached by Dave Burrow, 8th year on the ground section, 6th tournament appearance. So they're coming in strong, looking to make a statement. But they got a tough matchup with our 5 seed Utah Prep, coached by Coach Yamzan. And this is their first year on the ground session, first tournament appearance. So they're looking to make a statement as well. And that's a good team right there. Let me let y'all get into it.
All right, so we got a loaded roster with Utah Prep, but very young. Not one senior on the entire roster, but a little bit of, I guess, experience, right? They came into their first event. We saw them in Denver, and it just seemed like the physicality, they had to get used to that. And it seemed like the Placide twins, they've actually grown as the season is going on. I'm talking about in stature, where they started off probably 6'7", 6'8". They're every bit of close to 6'9", pushing 6'10". But J.J. Maniquit, he's going to try to lead this team as well. What do you think about this Utah-Orangeville matchup?
You know, we talked about Utah Prep in Denver. I can remember they went prolific prep right out of the chute. Their first grind event, their first grind game, and they get as good as it gets, you know, a team in the nation. And 14-2, I remember they were losing 14-2 in that one right out of the chute. And it's like, wow, did they expect this on the grind? And I think that they are playing maybe as well as anybody other than Prolific Prep right now on the grind.
All right. So we're going to move on to the number 2 seed, taking on the number 15 seed. What's our matchup there, Mike?
All right, at number 15, you got the Academy of Central Florida coming in strong, coached by Richie Dalmau and Carlos Morales. This is their first year on the ground session as that program, but
They're
Carlos
familiar.
and Richie are very familiar with the ground session as formerly being at Central Point. 15 seed has never beaten the 2 seed, and our 2 seed this year just happens to be Dream City Christian, a team that has really found their identity throughout the season. Didn't have one at first, but they found it, you know, playing for Coach Kyle Weaver, 2 grind session championships under his name. He knows what he's doing. He knows it's a marathon, not a race. So Dream City has came a long way in a short amount of time. Let y'all talk about the matchup a little bit.
So I'm going to pick up where Mikey left off on Coach Weaver. With the experience, he loved his team coming into the season. That hasn't changed. And one of the first kids we heard about was Ike Olazi. And as the season's going on, he's made that adjustment in the past couple events. Speaking even back in Puerto Rico, just very explosive, starting to get more comfortable. And how well he plays is how far I think they can go.
Now, these 2 teams played each other in Puerto Rico, so not that long ago, and Dream City beat them 79-54. Jamari Phillips injured most of the time. Every time seems like we see Dream City, Jamari's not playing. The Central Florida team, not the same one we saw early in the year, but much better now. But they did play, you know, both teams kind of at full strength and in Puerto Rico and lost. So it's going to be a tough task for a 15 seed to beat the 2.
As we said, it's never happened
Right.
before. So,
Right.
you know, Carlos and Richie probably coming in trying to make a statement as the underdog team.
They would definitely shock the world if that took
And
place.
it jumps out at me right away, the size difference. You know, Alejandro Vilas, E-Man in the middle. They come off the bench with Taco. You know, they're just going to be so much bigger than Central Florida.
Yeah, and they got Maota, but You know, he's going to have to hold his own down there with Justin Roman, and these guys will have a big task ahead.
All right, so our next matchup now on the bracket is our 7-10 matchup. Mikey, who we got?
This is one of my most interested matchups of the first round. Honestly, I'm excited. I like watching both of these teams play. Head to head, you know, these guys right here, they're going to make a statement in the first round. I'd hate to play one of these teams in the second round. So at number 10, you got Colorado Prep, coached by Mike Moskowitz. It's Colorado's 4th year on the grind session, 4th tournament appearance. They're 4-for-4 right now. First time earning a 10 seed. And they'll be playing against the 7 seed Balboa School, who recently moved from San Diego down to Clearwater, Florida. Coached by Dominique Jones and Zach Jones, the father-son duo. 7th year on the grind session, 5th tournament appearance. Both of those teams are scary right now.
Yeah. And I think it's the difference between two different styles, too. You got a team in Colorado that really likes to get up a lot of threes, like to run the floor, get up and down the floor. And Balboa has shown they can do a little bit of that as well. Right. But from the teams in the past, we've known them to have a ton of bigs and kind of grind out of game. But they're a little bit more balanced now. And I think we've seen the transition of that over the past 2 seasons. So I think it's going to be a battle of styles in this game. But what's your take? Quick take on this one.
Size-wise, I don't think there's a whole lot of difference, but Colorado Prep, Mikey and I were talking about it this morning. They've got a shooter's chance. Yeah. You know, Moskowitz and Liam Holmstrom, if those kids get hot, Josiah Sanders.
He's going to give you 20 and 10 every game.
I mean, Josiah might be the difference, in Colorado Prep, you know, tends to beat 7s before.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to move on to our next matchup. It is the number 3 seed against the number 14 seed. Let's take it away with this matchup.
So the number 14 seed will be SFBA Trinity Prep, coached by Coach Lockridge. 9th year on the ground session, 7th tournament appearance. Over the years, he has put together some teams that don't have the best names or the biggest names or best players, and he grinds it up all season just to make the tournament. And it's a well-coached team, SFBA Trinity Prep, and they'll have the number 3 seed DME Academy out of Daytona Beach, Florida, coached by Coach Matt Panaggio.
Well, y'all know what I'm about to get into. Let's say it all together. Savo has been a difference maker here with DME. At 2.5 minutes into watching this kid play in Louisville, came off the bench, I was like, who is that? And I tell you what, I've seen a lot of great point guards in our league over the years, and Savo is up there with them. But I can give you my early take on this. There has to be a commitment defensively for DME to go far into this tournament. I think they have the capability of doing it, but we'll have to see it. But what do you think about this 3 and 14 seed?
You talked about Louisville, and that's when Savo made his debut on the grind, and these two teams played in Louisville, and Trinity Prep came up a loser, 62-41. You talk about the defense. DME played defense that day, giving up 41 points.
All right, and we'll move on to the next seeding. Right now, this is our number 6 seed, taking on the number 11th seed. Let's talk about it.
I think this will be the last boys matchup of the tournament. But this game will have a lot of energy in it. 2 first-year grind session teams trying to come in and make a statement. At the 11th, you got DNA Prep, led by Frank Robinson and ZZ Clark, who had a 36-point performance this weekend. And they're on the upside right now. They did take a loss to Bella Vista, but they played very well that game.
Overtime, yeah.
And they have showed that they can compete with some of these bigger teams, even though they're not a big team themselves. With Kanji being their biggest guy, they're going to have a tough matchup here with the number 6 seed, Winston-Salem Christian.
Now, this is a place where we've seen the most upsets in the tournament, a number 11 seed over a number 16 seed. We've seen it happen 4 times in years past. But let's talk about the personality of the coaches. We talked about, just mentioned some of the players. But these 2 coaches and their teams take on the personality of them. And I can tell you right now, Antonio Lowe hates to lose.
He's fiery.
He absolutely hates to lose, and so does Frank Robinson, obviously very competitive coaches. Let's talk about the coaching matchup in this one.
Well, Antonio, when I talked to him earlier in the year, he said, I'm a little afraid to play small ball. And Mikey talked about bigs and size, and they don't have a lot of size. And He's fiery. He wants his players to be fiery. They get after it on defense. You know, they get in you, and he doesn't take, you know, lackadaisical effort. You'll come sit right next to him, and he'll put somebody else in there. And Frank's the same way. Frank will defend his players. You know, he talks to people and referees and other coaches, and he defends his kids. And looking forward to that one.
All right. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, don't be surprised. You know, like DNA Prep, they were in control of the game a little bit against Bella Vista. Winston-Salem is known for going down and being that team who's confident enough to play from down, come back, win the game, take control, and then just take off. So that'll be a good matchup right there. You know, like you said, Coach of Personalities is going to come in strong that game.
Absolutely. I got my popcorn ready for the whole entire event, not just for the boys, but also for the ladies as well. As we slide on over to the ladies' side, and let's start with the number 1 and number 8 seed here on the women's side.
Coming in number 8, first year grind session team out of Canada. You got Bond Academy, coached by Mr. Paul Weeks. And they will be, like I said, their first tournament appearance, first year on the grind session. They're matched up with the number 1 seed, all right? Bella Vista Prep. There's no doubt in our minds that Bella Vista has been in control of that 1 seed from start to finish this year, led by Gal Raviv and Adang Ring, Ayanna Perkins. Shall we keep going down the list?
The list
they're
is
loaded.
You know, the list is long. That's a loaded team. But Bond is coming in trying to make a statement. They play strong. They try to play bully ball, you know, so I could see that game getting a little chippy.
Well, let's talk about this. We mentioned it on the men's side. Let's mention it on the women's side. We haven't had a back-to-back champion on the ladies' side. So Bella Vista will try to accomplish that. They were the champions last year. They were one of those programs when the women's side of thing kicked off, they were kind of behind.
Yeah,
they were kind of the bottom team, or I would say, and we've seen their kids develop, the program develop. They brought in a new coach, which April Schilling coached them last year. She's on to the WNBA. But they have not missed a beat, and they look really, really strong.
One
going
loss
into
on
the
the
tournament.
year.
Yeah.
They've been beat one time this year. So.
They went and won the Nike Tournament of Champions, right?
Yeah, and the team that they lost to, that's who they beat. Again, they avenged that loss in the Tournament of Champions championship and beat them by 30.
Wow.
So it's going to be tough for all the girls' teams to catch up with Bella Vista.
All right, I think our next matchup is a really, really good one. The number 4 and number 5 seed.
So at number 5, you got Dream City Christian, led by Coach Alan Mitchell and Mike Puente. This is their highest seed they've ever earned. Like we were talking about, when we first started, you know, the girls, Dream City was on the lower end, you know, and now that teams like them and Bella Vista have finally started to catch the wave and catch up, the girls' league has become a lot more competitive than it was in the past. So at our 4 seed, you got Elite Prep, coached by Zach Carter. First year on the ground session, first year appearance. Olivia Edwards.
Handful.
I mean, listen, Olivia is a totally, she's gifted. Like, God has blessed her with an amazing basketball body, athleticism, so on and so forth. But the key is she's young, and that team is young, going up against some experience with Dream City. So I think this is going to be interesting.
Yeah, we saw them in Phoenix a couple of weeks ago. Olivia got in foul trouble, but the girls kind of hung in there. I remember writing a score down, and they kind of hung in without Olivia. So I think they've kind of grown up along the way. A 4 seed, the 5 seed, that'll be a good matchup.
And they've matched up this year in the Tournament of Champions.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
And, you know, Elite Prep came out on top by 11. So Dream City's looking to avenge that loss.
Dream City's playing well. We saw them beat that Compass team in Phoenix a few weeks ago. I mean, that was an unbelievable
3 days
performance.
after losing to them on
right,
Wednesday.
Lost by 20, beat them by 30.
All right, the number 2 and number 7 seed.
At number 7, it is Arizona Compass. All right, coached by Coach James Singleton. As we said, you know, Dream City kind of put the pause on them back at Duel in the Desert. But Compass is going to come into the tournament strong. They always do, trying to avenge those last couple of bad losses that they have and solidify themselves as, you know, what they feel is one of the best basketball teams on the girls' side in the country. And they're playing against Example Academy, our 2 seed, coached by Barry Bradford, first year on the grind session. But it may be their first year, but they ain't playing like they ain't used to it. They playing like they belong here, and they're making an example. out of themselves.
And I think it's a key too. This part of the bracket is in Chicago at this point, and this is right in the Example's backyard, and they are a loaded team with Roxy and some of the stars that they have on that team. They're looking to come in and send some shockwaves.
And we saw them in Chicago for the first time in our very first event in early November, and they played well that weekend. They played well in North Carolina last weekend, and they're an outstanding team.
All right, so last but not least on our list here is the number 3 and number 6 seed to round out things in Chicago for the Women's World Championship.
All right, and I know they're a 6 seed, but they may be one of our most improved teams on the year. We've seen them early on. They had struggles. They didn't have an identity. They had troubles trying to get the ball through the hoop. And you got Academy of Central Florida, coached by Coach Carlos Figueroa. Shouts to him for staying patient with those girls and pushing them and training them and putting them through hard practices, because they've come a long way just this season
made
alone.
a difference, yeah.
All right, so here's my thoughts on this one. Have you haven't
even
touched
do the
the
3
3? Okay,
No,
all
we
right,
getting
I'm
antsy,
ready.
though.
I'm
We
ready.
getting antsy,
I'm
though.
ready.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
and at the 3 we got Fort Erie International, coached by Mr. Handel Kip. All right, second year on the grind session, second tournament appearance, first time earning the overall 3 seed, and they finished runner-up last year.
So Fort Erie is an interesting number 3 seed because they could have easily be a number 1 seed if they were healthy. Every time we've seen them, they've dealt with some
Somebody
injuries.
down, yeah.
In Chicago, they played Example, if I remember correctly, but Parchment didn't play at that time. Gregory was out, so 2 of their top players. So with their point guard back, with Gregory and Parchment, if they come in this thing healthy, they're probably one of the most dangerous teams because they're just as talented as anybody in this tournament. What's your quick thoughts on this?
Well, we saw Fort Erie and Central Florida play in Chicago, and as Mikey said, it wasn't the same Central Florida team that we see now, and Fort Erie a little undermanned, and they still won by close to 30. So the Central Florida squad's playing better. They'll have to play well to win that one.
All right, and so those are the announcements. If you missed any of it, you can check our social media. You can go to Instagram, The Real Grind Session on Instagram, Tanager Sports on Instagram. You can slide over to X, formerly known as Twitter, and check it out there too, The Grind Session on X and Tanager Sports on X. You guys giving out any predictions for
Jesse.
the women's and men's side? You giving your top 4, your final 4? Or you
Jesse
gonna do
had a
that?
prediction, didn't
I'll
she?
give you all of that because I like to make people upset.
Oh my gosh!
I
Here we
like
go.
to stand on business.
I
about
was
what
just
say.
trying to. I was just creating banter.
So, is that what we want to do? Or
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
We want to make predictions? All right, so my final 4, are y'all going to do y'all's? Or is it just
I'll
No,
do mine. I do
So
mine because
it's
you and
just
I
me?
talked about it this morning.
I'm not
so-
doing mine yet.
All right.
Final 4, I think me and CJ are on the same page.
Yeah,
Final
probably.
4 wise. You got Prolific coming out of the top left side, 1 seed. The bottom left, I'm going to say you got Utah Prep coming out, the 5 seed. As we talked about, they've made statements all year long, and that's going to be a tough team because they're at full health, but they may be young. They don't have that grind session tournament experience,
Right.
but they've been put through the works this year. They've been battle tested. Top right, you got Dream City coming out of there. And then bottom right, I say you got DME. So you got a 1, 2, a 3, and then a 5.
Okay.
That's mine.
All right. I'm gonna save mine for another time.
Nah, he just scared.
Now I want to touch on the ladies'
He's
side too. I
scared.
don't want to leave out the women's.
He's scared.
Well, listen, I can tell you this. I can tell you this. I'm looking forward to calling a really good event. On the women's side, real quick, who you got?
On the women's side, all right. I say you got Bella Vista coming out to the semifinals. They'll probably play against Elite Prep. And then Example and Fort Erie.
Ooh, that's going to be a good matchup.
Like that matchup right there is
I'm
crazy.
going to say Bella Vista, Fort Erie. That's my pick.
Bella Vista, Fort Erie?
Yeah.
Now, Example beat Fort Erie pretty good, but again,
No
Parchment did not play.
no Gregory.
Fort Erie is fully healthy coming in.
That's gonna be a different ball
It's a
game.
different ballgame.
And listen, that those Fort Erie has tape on Example as well. So they have played each other. I think that goes a long way. No disrespect to Example, but again, I'm gonna hold off on my prediction. So, all right. So we're all good. That wraps up the show. Listen, it's gonna be an exciting World Championship. We'll see you in Vegas here in just a couple weekends as we kick things off. We'll see the ladies in Chicago along with the men that advance, and then All-Star stuff is coming soon as well. The announcements of All-Stars and different awards throughout the season is going to be coming very, very soon.
Coaches, stay tuned. Stay near your phones. I will be sending out All-Star invites within the next 24 hours.
Yes.
So if you feel like you have a kid that should be on there, don't hit me up. Not gonna
It's
change
already
anything.
done.
So
The
leave
process
him alone.
already
All
done.
right. So-
Leave him alone.
No more
The
changes.
committee has spoken.
Yeah, all right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in, man. We're looking forward to it. It's been a fabulous regular season. The 10th year here on the Grind Session. We are truly blessed to watch these kids perform and on and off the court and to get to know them. Shout out to the parents. Shout out to our coaches, our administrators, teachers, for all of our schools here on the Grind Session. And until we see you in Vegas, enjoy. All right?
And shout out us.
Yes, the crew, the
Shout
camera
out the
crew. Yes,
Shout out everybody.
Chris, Jess,
Y'all see
the
the
whole
stream?
family.
Y'all see the stream?
Yes,
The best stream in the country.
absolutely. You know what? I'm headed to pet that dog.
Hey.
I'm out. I'm out.